What's going on, you guys? Slumpy here, First to Last Gaming, as we are continuing our tour. We're in San Diego with Logan and Tristan. Where's Tristan? And who are we here with, actually?
Here with Logan Johnson.
Okay, but Logan, what did you do this weekend?
I finished top 4 at the San Diego Regional.
Top 4? Oh god,
playing
yes.
Kashtira Snake Eyes with no hand traps.
No hand traps? That's crazy. What would you decide to play no hand traps this weekend?
I think those cards are just like kind of hand looping yourself most of the time. Everybody's deck is just built to beat them. So if I have if I open one piece of good non-engine, I feel like I can beat almost any deck.
Okay. Well, before we get into deck profile, do you have any shout outs you want to give out?
Yeah, shout out Anthony Vang, my sponsor. Shout out First to Last Gaming, Danny, Tristan, all the boys over in San Diego. And let's get right into the profile.
All right.
Alright, for the deck, I played 3 Snake Ash, 2 Poplar, Oak, 2 Flamberge, that's all standard. For the D-Bell Star stuff, 3 Diabell, 1 Snake Eye D-Bell. This card was crazy. It lets you make Hope Harbinger, which is really good. There's also a really cool trick with Hope Harbinger against the Tempai deck where you can make it skip the damage calc, which is really neat if people don't know about it. But more importantly, going second, this card was like one of the best extenders in the deck. There's multiple times where like just setting this off a temple let me play through stuff. Also just like randomly clear big monsters. 3 Wanted, and then Temple and Original, and then 3 Bonfire. That's all like pretty standard, everybody knows that stuff. For the Kashtira package, I played 2 Unicorn, 2 Fenrir, 3 Planet. This is like pretty much like your best card in your deck outside of like your normal Snake Eye starters. You just want to open this plus like Diabell or Ash or Bonfire Wanted every game. I went with this ratio. It could definitely be 1 Fenrir. The reason I wanted 2 is because the siding pattern is really important to have 2 Fenrirs in when you go second, because you take out the Birth, 1 or 2 planets, and you take out the Unicorns, and then you just keep in Fenrir with the planet. You could also just side a Fenrir and then make the deck 41, because this is 42, but I didn't have time to like make the ratios perfect, but this worked really well for this event. Then for the non-engine, I played 0 hand traps. I played 3 Droplet. This is the best non-engine. The second best, 3 Talons. The third best, 3 Book of Eclipse. This card was crazy. It can like skip Tempai's turn on battle phase. You just put all their stuff face down. Against Runic Stun, I actually like I tried to deck the guy out. We basically both got down to 0 cards. I would have won the game had I made one play different. I definitely misplayed that game. Luckily I won the match, but this was helping me deck him out. And then in the mirror match, you can just kind of let people extend. They have like 3 or 4 monsters on board, and then book their stuff, and obviously they're going to draw like 3 or 4 cards, but most of the time you can just kill them without playing in a nib. You can clear their board, especially if you have a Flamberge on field. Also use this to dodge Imperm multiple times. It's also really good against Cash, which I ended up playing. The next best non-engine was 3 Econ. This is like the best one versus every deck except Voiceless. This card is like unplayable versus Voiceless, unfortunately. Originally this was Imperm. The problem with Imperm is that it targets the Voiceless voice cards, but I figured since this card also targets, this is just better than Imperm versus all the other decks, so I ended up going with this. Also versus Tempai, just like switching their guy to defense is good. Or like taking their guy sometimes, depending on the board state. And then the God card, Called by the Grave, I played no hand traps, so this card is like infinitely better in this deck. There's also so much shifter at this regional, this was definitely worth playing.
How many cards in the main?
That is 42 cards. And then for the extra, speed through it, you guys have all seen this stuff. Anima, Little Knight, IP, Dark, Hida, Phoenix, Promethean, Selene, Access Code, Zealantis, Raging Phoenix, Appaloosa, and then I guess the interesting stuff is the Draco Sack. This is for the cash cards and the Diabell. You can make an Apo really easily with this card, but what's also nice is you can just like clear back row. It's a really good way to just like start your turn going second, is like try to make this card and then just like start clearing back row. You can clear back row and try to make a Phoenix off of just Draco Sack pretty much. Then Hope Harbinger. This combo's out there somewhere. I'm not going to go through it. It's definitely on YouTube somewhere, but this card's really crazy because you don't have to play Jet Synchron and you don't have to play the Synchros, so it opens up extra deck spots. And then the card it opened up an extra deck spot for was Typhon, but this card was awful. I've had this card in my extra deck like 4 or 5 events, and every single time I summon this card I lose, and I keep convincing myself that I need to play it, and then it just never comes up. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong with it because there's other people that swear by this card, and there's also other people who have the same opinion as me, so I am not certain on this. This could have been literally anything else that would have been better.
I think it's only really good against like bad players.
Yeah, I guess so. For the extra deck, or for the side deck, another card I never summoned and I talked myself into playing was a Nightingale. I played against 5 Tempai Dragons and this literally never came up. The problem is like, it's very situational because you're only going to bring it in 2 out of the 3 games and you might not even get to a 3rd game, and you're only going to go into it when they shifter you, and then even if they shifter you, there's still like a chance that they have an out to it like a Chalice. And the other thing that is like kind of annoying about this card is with the cash cards, a lot of the time you can just go, like when you get shifted, you can just end on like Fenrir IP, which is like a pretty good board anyways through shifter. So in the future I would definitely not play this card again. I would probably just dedicate like 1 more spot on my side for like anti-meta.
Do you think Future would have ever came up over this card?
No. I never even had a situation where I could make this. Honestly, this card, the only time this card almost came up was against a cash player. When I did get shifted, I was gonna make this, and he impermed my Ash, so I never even got the chance to make it. But going forward, like I would almost certainly cut this card. I played 5 Tempai, and I only lost like 2 games total to that deck. My deck was just built really well for that deck. I suppose if you're playing like cross out, this card might be a little bit better because you can like cross out the imperm on your Ash. So maybe in a list with cross out designator it's better, but in this list you do not need it. For my back row removal, 3 Cosmic. This card has been the best card on my side deck for like months now. That will never change. Duster and 1 Twin Twister. It was 2 Twin, but I found versus like a lot of the mid-range decks, like Cash, this was just a lot better. I think in the future, maybe I would just cut the Nightingale for the 2nd Twin Twister because I am a really big fan of Twin. It kind of does what Cosmic does a lot of the time. And then the interesting stuff in my side deck, I played 3 Dark Ruler No More. This was pretty much just for the Voiceless Voice matchup. And then I know there's a lot of like crazy combo decks running around out there now with the Melodious cards. So I wanted to have an answer to the big combo decks, and I think this was just the best answer to that. And then I played 3 Metaltronus. This card is like, if you read this card, it's very confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. Pretty much, if your opponent, whatever monster your opponent has, you can play this, you negate it, they can't respond to it with that card, and then you summon your own copy of it. So if they have an Apo, you play this, you negate the Apo, and you summon your Apo, and then you can just turn the Apo into a Zealantis. And if they have the same name, you can banish them both face down. So what's really unique about this card is versus the Snake Eye Mirror, you can set it going 1st or 2nd. Going 2nd, it's like a Chalice, but better because you get the body. And when you go 1st, if you just set this and they go like, say, normal summon Snake Eye Ash, you flip this, you special Snake Eye Ash from your deck, and then you negate their Snake Eye Ash and you can banish both face down. So in that sense, it's like a Solemn Strike. And this card just pairs really well with the board breakers. There also might be like more to this card than I have right now. Like I haven't put in enough time yet to see if there's like other interesting things I can summon off of it versus other decks. I know versus branded, like I believe Guignol, you can summon like Diabellstar off of that, but I need to look more into this card, but I would definitely play that again. And then the MVP of my side deck was triple Skill Drain. This was Dimensional Barrier for a while, and I play tested against Voiceless Voice, and Voiceless can like play through this card a lot better, or play through D-Barrier a lot better than before. And then also versus Tempai, they're still able to do like the Raging Phoenix Zealanthus play. And the thing is too, is like if you're not able to capitalize off a D-Barrier immediately, you kind of just lose. Where this card, you can just sit on one Cash Monster, you could sit on one Flame Burge and just win the game. And then versus Tempai too, I was just siding this in like, assuming they're going to make me start. So basically I just bring in my going first cards when, like, even though they're picking. Yeah, this card was absolutely crazy. By far the best card in my side deck. And that's the list.
All right. Quick couple questions. What are your thoughts on deck lockdown?
I think deck lockdown's somewhat comparable to skill drain. I think there's definitely instances where it's better, but I think deck lockdown just isn't as good when you get hand trapped. Like it's so easy to just end on one monster, like one big guy with skill drain and just win. Where deck lockdown, if you end on one guy, they can still play more than you would like them to with just like under deck lockdown versus a lot of decks. And they can also just like outlast a deck lockdown and try to out-resource you. So I think in that sense, skill drain is better.
Is there anything you would change for the Typhon or the Lurlusk in the extra deck?
The extra deck, this is either going to become the Lizard that draws a card, or Nightmare Cerberus. Cerberus came up a number of times. There's a bunch of games actually where I had enough bodies on field to end on IP and SP on the board, and then my IP, the only thing I could go into was Nightmare Phoenix, which didn't really come up that much. If I had a Cerberus, that would just be way better. And then you can also get the draw for that. And then in the side deck, I think I would just cut this, and I would either play another Twin Twister, or I would play the Sinful Spoils Trap card for going first, because that card is really good to protect. You can like protect your skill drain and stuff under that card. It's also good versus the rogue decks like Runic Stun, where you can recycle it for negates. But I think the main deck is like pretty close to. There's nothing I would really change other than maybe mess with the 1 Fender ratio.
Alright, well thank you so much for the deck profile. What's the next event we're going to see you at?
Next event should be YCS Indianapolis.
Alright, we'll see you then.
Thank you.